Velkommen til program 6 av de 10 programmene rundt oppdagelsesreisen i forbindelse med Torinokledet. I dag, Erik Jensen, skal vi få møte en kvinnelig historiker, og vi skal inn på kunsten. Du har nevnt at det er blitt oppbevares nå siden 1980 på veldig nøye oppbevart. Men før det, så var det jo ikke det. Det vises i kunsten opp igjennom, man er blitt behandlet på kanskje litt mer skjødesløs måte. Så det også er jo et mirakel. Det er jo unikt. Det er mye unikt rundt dette.
Det er mye unikt. Vi skal møte Charyl H. Morsom, jeg var her, jeg så på TV tilfeldig, og så var jeg innom History Channel. Men der er hun jo! Så det er liksom sånn artig at det her er en person som altså da på History Channel, og som brukes da som fagperson. Meget kunnskapsrik. Hun sammen med en katolsk leder, de har fått arvet noe som heter Savoy-familien. Savoy-familien har mye med Torinokledet. Masse historikk man kunne ha sagt om det. Vi skal unngå å slite ut folk med for mye av det. Men de hadde en kunstsamling der Torinokledet opp gjennom historien, der den har blitt vist offentlig. Og det har ikke skjedd sånn fryktelig ofte. I moderne tid, og da snakker man fra 1900, så har det vært kanskje 5 ganger som det har vært vist offentlig, sist gang i 2015, bevares da nå i en stor ramme som har da edelgass inni for å beskytte og bevare dette trykket. Men opp gjennom historien hadde man jo ikke tilgang på det, og denne utstillingen som hun har, den viser altså bilder sånn som her har du, det får ikke seerne stats selvfølgelig, vi kan se om vi kan få det til, men der ser man at biskopene, de sto da oppe, og så viste man dette her for hele befolkningen, for dette var så unikt. Og her har man bilder tilbake til 1200-1300-tallet. Noen bare en sånn liten kuriositet, noen mente at dette her var jo et maleri, og ingen ringere enn selveste Leonardo da Vinci. Men saken er at vi har jo bilder her som går fra 100 år før han eksisterte, så har man da bilder. Og det viser at kunsten er med og bekrefter da virkeligheten av dette bildet her, og hvilken funksjon det har hatt i kirken opp igjennom. At man har vist dette til folket som en oppmuntring for at de skal kunne ha et festepunkt for troen. Se på dette, liksom. Og Charyl, hun da har hele denne samlingen i sine hender. Det er et fenomenalt opplegg med mengder av bilder som er gamle som bare det. Som de forvalter da, som stilles ut med gjerne mellomrom. Og det er jo et interessant element også da, at dette Torinokledet har vært gjenstand for å bli malt opp gjennom historien som i kunsten, og gir oss jo da faktaopplysninger. Det ene bildet som vi har bak oss, er jo et av de bildene som er skapt ut ifra Torinokledet for å på en måte gi en gjengivelse av hvordan kan Jesus ha sett ut. Og her ser man både øyne og proporsjoner, nese, ansiktsstørrelse. Alt er tatt man ut ifra dette her sånn. Så interessant, synes jeg da.
Ja, så i dag så skal vi få et innblikk i hvordan kunsten opp igjennom har nettopp pekt på dette kledet.
Hun kommer til å peke litt på dette her, og hva Torinokledet har betydd for henne.
Ja. Da setter vi på, og vi har en tro på at dette skal komme til å bety noe for deg også.
En glede å ønske velkommen til Torinokledet. I dag så har jeg med meg en helt spesiell gjest, og jeg skal ikke engang late som jeg forstår meg på alt det hun holder på med, men hun jobber en del historisk, og har en helt spesiell samling med kunstverk rundt dette med Torinokledet. Hun heter Dr. Charyl H, og vi skal få henne til å gi litt mer introduksjon om seg selv. So, Charyl,
pleasure to have you here.
Thank
you
you
for coming.
I'm happy to be here.
Oh, I'm so glad. Now, I told the audience, I'm not even going to pretend that I know what I'm talking about here.
Okay, all right.
You're the expert on this.
All right.
So you might lead me and guide me as we go.
Sure.
But I know that you're a professor in history.
Right, that's right.
Give me a little bit of a background.
Sure.
More than that.
So my field is primarily medieval and early modern Europe. And because of the field I chose to study, I inevitably came into contact with Christian church history. Now, this is going back to the early 1980s when the very first peer-reviewed science about the shroud began to be published in peer-reviewed academic journals. I was an undergraduate history major at the time. I was interested in church history, medieval history. Then by the time I got to graduate school in the late 1980s was when the carbon-14 dating results were published. And many people, I think, that were interested in the shroud, many people stepped back. But I leaned in because as a medievalist, I couldn't understand how the image, as complex as it is, could have been produced in the Middle Ages. I knew the Middle Ages well, and it just didn't, there was a dissonance in my soul about that I couldn't reconcile. So I have been pulled to the study of the shroud ever since and have yet to unravel any of its mysteries, except that the field of history offers me some insights about where it might have been and where I know it has been.
Because your field is different than some of the other guests I've had. They are looking more into the shroud itself in regards to technical things and the things that we see, why it's there. Right. But your background of history is more kind of the story of where the shroud has been.
Right.
Bringing it even more into authenticity in a sense that we can track it historically.
Right. And I think that is an important piece of the puzzle, is that you cannot scientifically study an object if you can't contextualize it. If you don't know where that object has been or under what circumstances it's been conserved, who has had it, who's had access to it, then science becomes a discipline that you apply almost with a blindfold on, because you can't answer the important question establishing a clear chain of custody, right? So I think history and science have a lot to offer to each other. For instance, science, the field of pollinology, which is a subfield of botany, that has contributed a lot to my historical study because I have an environmental journey. I know where the shroud was. So now I can go back and perhaps try to fill in when it was there, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So
the pollen will give it geography.
It gives it geography.
Because this is certain areas where you find that kind of pollen.
Right. You know, we know that the shroud was in Jerusalem.
Yes.
We know that.
Yeah.
That's admissible in a court of law.
Yeah. And how do we know that?
From the pollen and from the soil.
Correct.
And so we know that the shroud has been on the Anatolian Peninsula of what is today Turkey.
Turkey, yeah.
It's been there. We know that it has been in Constantinople. There's a few pollens that directly place it on the straits going into the Black Sea.
And these are unique pollens for that unique area only in the world.
Right, right. And then of course we have pollens that place it in Western Europe, which you would expect, Italy and in France. So I can take that environmental journey and begin to put together a historical timeline.
Have you seen anything written about that first part? I know that there's different opinions and ideas about it, but have you seen anything written?
You mean from Jerusalem?
From onward? Jerusalem until 1578, because from there I know you're totally
1578, I'm a total expert on that. Well, yes, and actually another field of interest for me is the so-called missing years. Because I believe we can account for the shroud up until 1204. And from 1204 to 1355, it drops out of the record entirely for 140 years, where it resumes in 1355 in Lille, France. And then 1578, it's moved to Turin. So from 1355 onward is very clear. When you begin looking at it as an ancient relic or begin thinking about it from Jerusalem onward, that's where it's trickier. But remember that, well, two things. The study of history, the method we use, is as rigorous as any scientist would use.
Of course.
Because I must find primary sources. I cannot go on secondary accounts, on I think, or I surmise, or, it has to be in a record. And so the last clear record we have, I should say the first clear record we have, is the four Gospels that all tell us that there was a burial shroud.
Yes.
They're all first-person accounts. John is a direct eyewitness. And so that's very good testimony. Why the apostolic community doesn't write about the shroud after that, I don't know. But I can tell you what I believe happened to the shroud.
Oh, let me hear.
I can tell you what I believe happened
Yeah.
to it. I believe that it remained in the apostolic community.
Yeah.
And in the immediate post-apostolic community. By the time the temple fell during actually the first Jewish-Roman war, 68 to 70.
Yeah.
I believe that probably by 70 AD, it left Jerusalem and was moved probably to Antioch.
Very likely it was moved.
It was definitely moved
Yeah.
to get it out of the sort of the wrath of the Romans.
Yeah.
And when you think about where the Christian centers were, there were really only four.
Mm-hmm.
Four major sees, what we would call sees of Christianity. There's Rome, there's Jerusalem, there's Antioch, and there's Alexandria. That's it.
Yep.
Well, Jerusalem is no more. So that leaves Rome, Antioch, and Alexandria. It makes perfect sense to me that because of the Petrine sort of community that followed him, we know they were in Antioch. It made perfect sense to me that it would go there. And we also have a record that that places it there, although somewhat obscured. St. Athanasius of Alexandria, writing in the 4th century, describes a tradition of the church that there was an image of our Lord at full length that was taken from Jerusalem to Antioch. Well, that's good testimony.
Yeah.
It's not a primary source, but it's really good testimony.
Yeah.
So I think that's exactly, and then from there it worked its way into Edessa, and what is today Turkey.
Yep.
And from Edessa, I can place it in Constantinople in the year 944. So,
Which is quite incredible, considering that this is a cloth, piece of fabric,
right.
that has been preserved through the time. I mean, probably one of the few. We know from now that they have found in Masada,
Yes.
this tunic,
Yes.
also made of linen,
Right.
similar material, but also due to maybe the circumstances, temperature, everything, dryness, that it's been preserved
Yes.
through all these years.
Right.
But the shroud has a different, intensity, and has this imprint on it, which
Yeah.
is such a unique thing that you would
Yes.
think that they would take it apart and give it, but it's been kept in one piece, and we have the history to see for it.
Yes. And I think that is another really compelling, what you just mentioned about the fact that we still have it, tells me what people have always believed it to be. This is always believed to be the burial shroud of Christ, and that's the reason it's so preserved, is because the community, the early Christian community, cared for it, and that was handed into successive generations.
Yeah.
And certainly by the time of the photographic era and the scientific era, we know so much more about conservation of linen and textiles. And even today, it is very fragile. I mean, it is.
Completely.
It is very fragile. But it is still with us, and it is a absolutely living laboratory, if you want to think of it that way, an empirical encounter
Wow, yeah.
with something that is completely transcendent.
We're going to switch this into your area of expertise.
all right.
This is the artifacts
Right.
that you and
Father Peter Mangum?
Father, yeah. You did a podcast, you told me,
Yes.
about the shroud,
Yes.
and after the podcast, there's a phone call.
Yeah. So we did a podcast called Who is the Man of the Shroud?
Yeah.
36 episodes back in 2018. And we got a call from a man in Indiana by the name of Richard Arroyo, who had spent his entire life collecting artworks and artifacts related to the history of the shroud, especially during the time that it was under the control of the Royal House of Savoy.
This is the Royal
House
of Savoy.
Yes. So, a minor dynastic family of Europe, but still, they became the titular kings of Italy, of course.
Yep.
But the 530 years that the Savoy family owned this linen is incredibly well documented. And in this collection that he then offered to us. He wanted us to be the custodians of it. He's a very elderly man. He's still living. Very elderly man, wanted to make sure it was cared for. I think was impressed with both of us from the perspective of knowledge and our sensitivity to art. And so we are very privileged to be the custodians and the curators of that incredible collection.
This collection, or part of it, I would say, is here at this conference.
Right.
So I have seen it.
Right.
And all of this is different images of public showings of the shroud.
Yeah.
Now, historically, what do you make out of this?
Yeah. It's an interesting blend of both the political and the religious spectacle that the Savoy family, remember that they are a rising family of Europe. They never became like the Bourbons or the Habsburgs, but they certainly established the kingdom across Piedmont and into all northern Italy, the Alpine region, and became major players that way. This was actually enhanced their standing as a house of Europe, because they have one of the most significant relics of Christ's Passion. They acquired it in 1453. So from 1453 until 1983, 530 years, all of that is well documented in art, because every time they showed it, they commissioned an artwork to show to the faithful, and to commemorate that particular occasion. That becomes itself a documentary record.
So they had both the shroud,
yes,
and they had artwork that was done every time it was lifted up,
right,
and showed to the public.
Right.
So that is a historical documentation
It is a historical
of the history of the shroud from arrival in Turin, 1538?
1578.
1578, sorry.
1578 until 1983. And even before 1578, they have documented artwork, but it's from 1578 that we have a clear trajectory, because Turin then becomes a very sacred center in Europe. It elevates the city itself. Someone told me yesterday that, well, what else is Turin really known for? And I said, well, I guess Gran Torino. I don't know what else it's known for, but yeah, it's a great gift historically to have the Savoy family to have been such great conservators of that cloth. Yeah. Incredible.
And it's even more incredible in regards to what we know today, how the church cares for it now.
Yeah.
With a special framed thing, and there's argon gas and tiny bit of oxygen, everything else is. And very, very, very seldom they show it. I'm every 25 years, something on that trajectory. Sometimes they have special showings, but what we see on this artwork is actually these Catholic leaders, priests and pastors, they were holding it out in the sunlight.
Yes. And probably in all sorts of conditions. And you remember, it's the pre-scientific age. They don't know they're leaving their DNA all over it. They don't know that they might possibly be contaminating some of the linen fibers with bacteria that might then continue to grow. They didn't know any of these things. And so it speaks to me of something else at work that's preserving that linen.
When we talked about preservation earlier, from the time of Jesus.
Right.
That first part, definitely pre-science, but these guys, we can show evidence that they put it out in the sun, they held it up for the crowd.
Right.
Some people have even said they used it as a linen cloth on the table.
Yes. I've heard anecdotally stories like that. I don't know that I could show that in the historical record, but you would imagine that because it becomes part of the liturgical tradition of the church, beginning as early as the 4th century, the altar cloth must be pure linen.
Yeah.
And so, and it's of a certain length, it's 14 feet long. And so where did that come from? To this day, a Catholic priest cannot celebrate a mass without a corporal, a pure linen square that goes on the altar where the body and blood of Christ are sacrificed. So it's all very richly entwined with not just science, but also with history and and religious practice of the centuries.
But that makes it even more authentic in my mind.
I think it gives
because
it more,
you have something that is more than just an artifact, a historical thing. This is something that has been so interwoven with the history and the development of time, and also the religious part. Not as a place of veneration,
right?
But I heard one of the pastors say, or a priest say, that more of a place of memory and more of meditation. Contemplation.
Yeah. Well, because it's not like any other historical artifact in the sense that I can look at things all the time. You know, for instance, if I'm involved in an archaeological project, which I occasionally am, and we find things that are man-made, you know, well, those are interesting, and you can study them, and you can understand them, and you can come to know the cultures that produce them, and that's really wonderful. But when you confront this particular artifact, it's not an object that you're encountering. Ultimately, it's a person. It's not an object, it's a person. The object might point to the person. You might have to go through the object to get to it. But I don't know of any other artifact in the world that calls us to that kind of contemplation.
Definitely not.
Yeah, right.
Now we're almost in the personal area. What has this shroud done to you?
Wow. Well, my personal story is very closely intertwined with this because I was unchurched as a child. And I actually did not come to the Christian faith until I was, my first year of college. I got to know a Dominican priest very well and was catechized and baptized as an adult. But it coincided with all of this peer-reviewed science being published about the shroud. It kind of was a perfect storm for me. I didn't need anything physical to make the resurrection real for me. I want to be very clear about that. I don't need the shroud to be authentic, to believe in the resurrection. But for someone who is young and inquiring and just coming to understand things in a, you know, very superficial, simple way in the beginning, this was one more way. I like to say this was my Thomas moment. It was one more way of God speaking to me in a way of reason and direct sensory encounter, and it makes the incarnation not an abstract theological idea anymore. It's there. There it is, the humanity and the divinity right there. So I've always sort of taken it away, both, you know, academically, it's very much a part of my life, but it also has that personal component of telling me who this person is.
What a trusted function that you and your colleague, I forget his name.
Father Peter Mangum.
I'm sorry, sir.
That's okay.
I forget,
Father Peter Mangum.
There's so many new names for me here.
Sure. I understand.
But he was sharing a talk yesterday together with you, and so and you seem like a very, very good persons or people to care for this. But what a special favor it must be to be the custodians of this treasure from the Savoy family. That is also very unique.
It's an incredible privilege. And as a matter of fact, one of the first things that we needed to do when we acquired the care of the collection was to make sure that the Savoy family knew. You know, they were living descendants of the Savoy. The Savoy are living in Switzerland today. The Princess Maria Gabriella is still living. And so, you know, we wanted to make sure that they knew and that these items have a good provenance to them. Many of them are already held, a copy of them are held in the Savoy collection, because these are prints or engravings that many copies were made of, but only a few survive. And so even the contact that we had with them was encouraging. It was, please just care for them.
Wow.
Yeah.
I know that you've been involved in the Museum of the Bible.
Yes.
And developing the exhibition they have there of the shroud.
Right.
But I suppose some of this is also available there.
The artworks?
The artwork.
No, we've had them on display. When the exhibit opened there in 2022, there was a temporary display of some of these. And then we had a recent display earlier this year, 2025, at the Museum of the Bible. There's no permanent display there, but I have a very good working relationship with them. They're very interested in this sort of nexus of sacred art and the secular and the Bible. Yes, and obviously the connection to the Bible is clear. This is the gospel. This is the gospel in image, as Father Peter referred to it in his talk.
Yes.
It's the gospel in image. So yeah, I would look for future.
That is such a good analogy that he gives there. That this is the gospel in image. This is before we have pictures and all that stuff that we have today. But this is the gospel in image.
Right. And when you think about the medieval mind and how simple their piety was, and to not have access to the written text that we do,
and not even able to read and write, for that matter.
To be able to look at an image of this crucified
and meditate.
Yeah. Exactly.
Well, I'm going to be at the Museum of the Bible in just a few days.
Wonderful.
I'm hoping to convince them, because this should be on a display. I mean, it should be on a permanent display. I know you're based in Louisiana now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but there's no, is there a website where people can look at
we are
some of the
actually
artwork?
We're building the website right now.
Wonderful.
And hope to have that operational probably within a month or so. Building the content right now. And this vast catalog, because what is here at the Shroud Conference, we have 14 pieces here, but we have about 2,000 items in the collection. and not all of those are artworks. There are books and medals and different things, but we have over 200 artworks.
What would be kind of the amount of the most kind of exceptional ones that you think? How many?
I think
there's 14 here.
I brought really the exceptional ones. There are at least 100 that are just jaw-dropping in their significance, and many of the others are copies of something that's already out there, we know, but the ones that are really exceptional are the originals. The 1578 ostension of the shroud with St. Charles Borromeo at the center of that engraving. There are really, we know of only 3 in the world, and the copy of the shroud that was made, ordered, the devotional copy that Emperor Maximilian I commissioned in 1516. He made dozens of them, and there's only 3 left.
Wow.
So I feel very privileged to be able to make sure that future generations get to see this.
I pray there will be an opening and a possibility for this.
Absolutely, beyond a traveling exhibition.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Cheryl, it's been a delight to have you.
Thank you.
I wish I had more time, because I understand here's a treasure chest of information and history.
Yeah.
So this is just a little bit of a taste
A little bit
for
of
the
a taste
Norwegian
of it.
audience.
That's right. That's right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate
God bless
it.
you.
Okay, thanks.
Ja, da har du fått med deg litt historisk bakgrunn om Torinokledet sin historie, og hvordan den reiste fra Jerusalem og da videre og havnet i Torino til slutt, der det er den dagen i dag, der den ble tatt hånd om Savoy-familien. Og nå så sitter denne unge kvinnen her sånn, og hun har da hånd om en del av kunstverket og kunsthistorien rundt dette her sånn. Dette gjør at den troen vi har legitimeres til stadighet, både gjennom dette likkledet selv, men også gjennom historiske verker som er formet rundt dette her. Så vår tro er fundamentert på Guds ord, på Jesu oppstandelse, de faktiske hendelser, og så ser vi at både historie og kunst kommer oss til hjelp i tillegg. Tusen takk for at du fulgte oss i dag. Du finner informasjon på torinokledet.no. Takk for at du har fulgt oss. Herren med deg.